You're listening to the Life in General podcast with Tom and Jaye. An hour of informative commentary on today's headlines, current events, and what's going on around the world and around the corner. And now, here are your hosts, Tom and Jaye Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jaye, coming at you from sunny Ecuador and luckily not so sunny Tennessee. We've been given a reprieve from the hell in which some would say is of our own make, but we're coming at you here with another episode. Going to get into some interesting topics today, but we're going to start this episode the same way we do every time and ask the man of the hour how he is living next to the sun. So, hey Dad, how are you?
I'm doing good. The sun hasn't been out. It didn't come out at all today, so it's been cloudy. We're running the cloud shift here for a couple of months. I asked the other day a local, and they said it would probably be another 30 to 45 days before the sun comes out every day. And they said, get ready for it because it's not ever going to go away. It's going to be out all day, every day.
Until the end of days. That's definitely
yes.
Well,
that's exactly.
So we've touched at it a little bit, but like you've been there for over a year now, and it's
Yes.
something where you've been in a few places or like not really different cities, I'll say, but you've been in different locations and whatnot. And do you think that this is the best one you've been in so far, or has it been another one, or what do you think?
Each one had their own. We've been into three different places since we've been here, and each one had their own good and bad. I don't know, what you call it. Some
pros and cons list. If you're a fan of The Office.
Yes, and the first place we lived was about 50 yards off the beach, so you could open the door to this huge porch. There were three condos side by side. And there was a huge front porch all the way across, and the other two were empty. They were like weekend getaways once a month for the people that would come and go. But you could open the door and you could see the ocean, and the dogs would just run out the door. They, in 10, 30 seconds, they were at the ocean, running up and down the ocean and playing and all that stuff, which, it was pretty cool. And it was all on one level. I liked it. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that was all on one level. Now, you went up 3 steps to get on the porch, but after that, no more steps, because I'm not a fan of steps.
Well, I would assume people as they get older, no one's a fan of steps, right?
Right.
That's just not the case.
And then the second place, which the one you came to, was the treehouse. It was like a little Dutch oven, because when the sun would come up, all the bricks would heat up. And that place got really hot. Now, the savior was all the palm trees around it created enough shade where it didn't just bake us at 350 for 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
you guys just get on your little rotisserie things and just and be slow cooked. So,
and then at that location, we were probably 150 yards off the beach, where we could just we could walk 20 steps, make a left, and then stay, down that road, and it ran right into the ocean. So we could still hear the ocean and, banging the waves and all that kind of stuff. And then we've moved inland probably another 100 yards. And this place is 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And this place is huge. I mean, and we kept going down. It's funny because we kept going down in rent. The bigger the place, the less the rent was. And we were like,
well, what's interesting there is, just like you mentioned, the bigger the place, the less dollars the rent, but the further you are from the ocean. So it kind of lends itself to, they know what their priorities are, right? I mean, if you are oceanfront, well, you're paying top dollar, but you are also in a third world country where, the dollar goes very far. And it's something where, hell, you could as we've looked at a little bit, purchasing power is insane down there, right? You could buy a property that would be lavish up here. Would be almost unfathomable, and it's very reasonable. Do it down there and have, like a 5-bedroom compound and it not blow the bank. Not certain Americans, but it is what it is.
We got our light bill, and it was $53.42. And it's probably, the place is probably 3,000 square feet.
Well, that was like my gas bill for this, for the month of June, where it's $8 because we're not turning on any heat. And I mean, even like the hot water for the showers and stuff. I mean, you don't want it scalding, right? Because you're already cooking with proverbial gas, right?
Right.
So you're almost taking not tepid showers, but nothing that's gonna roast you alive. Because no, we ain't about that life here.
Yeah, you can't get a hot shower down here hardly. You have to buy the heated shower heads that connect to suicide shower heads. It's got the electricity right next to the water pipe and stuff. So to heat the water that comes through the shower head. But here you just get a lukewarm shower, but that's okay because you don't really need a.
I mean, when it's 85 all the time, you're not looking to warm up at all, right?
That's correct.
Now I could see where you want to take a relatively hot shower in case you got disintegrated by the sun, right? Because that does pull some of the heat out of your body, and that's one thing they tell you to do if you have sunburn, or honestly, if you just want to sleep really well, is take a real hot shower, because it is going to draw heat away from your core, and you want your core to be cooled down a little bit so your body can go into rest mode versus, hey, we have to continue to function. So,
right. I don't have a problem in rest mode for sure.
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Well, unless you're up here and then we have it set on 76 in the house because you got a blanket on you and it's 90 outside. But what can you do?
That's right. That's right. When my head hits that pillow, buddy, I'm out.
Well, lucky you. And I don't know what it is about getting older and whatnot, but I can tell you this. Let us know down in the comments below. When you hit a certain age, did you just stop being able to sleep past a certain point in time? Because I can understand if it's like 7 o'clock or some bullshit like that, but waking up randomly at 5:30 every day makes me want to eat something very hard and metallic, and it goes very fast because it's ridiculous just waking up. Because then at that point it's like, all right, I'm here now. There's no rolling back over and then yada yada, and it's just, oh my goodness, man. So
crank it up because here we come.
Yeah, it's just it's ridiculous, but I don't know. But and things change, right? Getting older, sleep changes and whatnot, and that's kind of one of the things you wanted to talk about in terms of something changing, right? The topic that you had for us to look at today about things that have changed is baseball. And I think there's a more overarching message there than just baseball, but the really good analogy and personal experience you have is with baseball. So why don't you kick it off and let us know how baseball then and now.
You got to have balls. It's pretty, down here, we have direct TV, satellite TV, and I'll get Major League Baseball games about 3 days a week. And it's been it's been a while since I watched a Major League Baseball game. And some of the stuff I saw was just, I was out of my mind. First of all was the salaries. They play 165 games a year.
Right.
Okay. And if a guy's getting $1 million, just $1 million a year, that's like $6,000 a game. Really? Are you serious?
Yes.
But what brought this to my attention was there's a new deal going on with Major League Baseball. Pitch.com, is a company that made a transmitter. Now, you've seen in football where the quarterback has the play. He's got the plays on his arm. He's got the armband.
Yeah, he's got the whole thing.
Well,
he's got something fed into his helmet. He's got a thing on his arm that tells him, when to shit, when to turn, and all this.
Well, now Major League Baseball, Pitch.com came up with a transmitter for the catcher. The 1, 2, 3 between the leg stuff is not it's not good anymore.
It's not good enough.
Not good enough for him. Yeah, and the pitcher has a receiver in his sweatband of his hat, and the catcher, of course, the catcher is always looking over to the records keeper or the numbers guy, that's keeping up with Roger Maris. He's going to tell you Roger Maris is a left-hander. His batting average is this, or this is the balls that he likes. So, or this is what to pitch him. Pitch him low and outside or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense. Catcher always looks over and sees what the dugout calls, because you got your stat guy in the dugout.
Yeah.
Well, now he takes this thing on his arm and punches a couple of buttons, and it tells the pitcher what pitch to pitch, curveball, slider, fastball. And then another button tells them what part of the plate to pitch it on, inside, outside. And the pitcher receives that.
Yeah.
And then pitches.
That's ingenuity right there, my friend.
Well, and I started reading and doing a little digging into it. And they did this because back in like 2019, when the Astros were in the playoffs, they were stealing the signals of the catcher. Anytime you got a guy on second, he can see the catcher doing the 1, 2, 3, and then patting the side of his leg or wherever. They've been playing baseball for 150 years. Okay, the guy on second, he's watching and he's trying to figure out the signals.
Oh yeah,
he ought to be trying to figure out how the hell to get to third, but he's watching the signals. Well, the Houston Astros.
Wait
a minute. Listen, the Houston Astros are banging a trash can to send the signal to the batter about what pitch is coming. That's documented.
Okay.
Cheating in Major League Baseball. Really? You're going to bang a trash can?
Sounds awesome.
To let the batter know that the curveball's coming. What the hell has happened to the sport? We're just playing the sport, man, and enjoying it.
So you're saying the guy on second, not the second baseman, the player who has ran to second, right?
Yes.
On the batting team is getting that information.
Yes.
Okay.
He's watching the catcher.
Yeah.
He's watching the catcher to see what signal he gives, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and what pitch comes. You can tell if it's a slider, or if it's a curve, or if it's a fastball straight down. You can tell. I mean,
sure.
You're a professional, right? Supposedly.
Yeah, I tell you.
And then you go in at the end of the inning and you tell the guys in the dugout, this is what they're doing and this is what's happening. And so next time there's a guy on second, he's doing the old, doing the bill of the hat and all that kind of stuff, and letting them know what pitch is coming. So they started doing this to prevent people from stealing signals.
Mm.
That's sad. That's sad. You're cheating.
Some people would say, do whatever you can to win, right? I mean, because it's going to be cutthroat as hell. And also understand this too. They're paying people literally millions of dollars to play this game. I'm going to take every fucking chance, advice, information, whatever I can to win. And the most important part about baseball, at least from what it seems from a very outside person's perspective, but if they can never get on base, the game ends, right? Like, it's just over. It's boring as hell because you just keep watching the Ks, the backwards Ks get put on the board. But at that point, it's like, I don't have to be a good, hitter or be a good this or that or whatever. I just need to be a good fielder and then support my pitcher or my catcher, because if no one gets on base, none of this matters, like, at all. And think of how much the game has changed in that perspective, and not just with baseball. I mean, Hell,
Well,
you had the
they're also
Patriots stealing plays as well, right? Where, I mean, and it's not just them; they're the people who got caught, I'm sure. And yeah, I mean, it's cutthroat, man. Especially with them having budgets of like, military defense level budgets of almost costing more than what certain countries have on defense. It's just like it's absolutely insane, man.
they get $20 for a 12-ounce can of beer at the ballpark. But also the reason they did the transmitter was to speed up the game. They want to speed. What's the hurry? What's the hurry in a ball game? Why are you rushing us in a ball game?
Because baseball's boring as fuck, man, and there's no time limit either. That's an issue.
Exactly. That's exactly. It's America's pastime sport. It's baseball, mom, apple pie. Come on, man.
But
I mean,
like,
really?
It's not, because I mean, we went to the Sounds game, and we hilariously enough, we only stayed for like 4 innings because you were like, "Yeah, I'm over this," and I'm thinking, I'm very excited I brought you out here. But putt.
I watched 4 innings of a game last night.
Yeah, putt. Alcoholic beverage, like adult beverages, playgrounds for the kids. In between each inning, they had to do a little thing to keep you interested, and it's like you're not there to watch a fucking baseball game, man.
I'm glad you said that, because last night I was watching the New York Mets playing the Atlanta Braves, and they're playing in Truist Park in Atlanta, the new ballpark that they built, and servers waiting on people at the ballpark in their seat. Now, I know you got the guy going up and down the steps going, "Cold beer right here, cold beer." I get that. But servers with a tray and an apron on, and they go over to these seats and they take people's orders and they go get the stuff and they bring it back. Get your fat, lazy ass out of that chair and go. You're not watching the game anyway, because most of you people are talking on the damn phone while the ball game's going on. Get your ass out of the seat, because you're probably too fat to make it to the concession stand, and get your feed bag of popcorn and your $18 soft drink and come back and sit. People, I saw it in the background, and I had to ask Pat. I said, "Is that really a lady waiting on those people sitting there?" And she said, "Yes, it is." Can't even get out of your chair to go to the. Give me a break, man. Are you kidding? Okay, and it doesn't stop there. I saw a couple of guys, probably making $1 gazillion, and I'm on a rant about baseball. But we didn't get participation trophies when I played ball. The all-star trophies that you'll see in the picture meant I was the best guy on the team. Okay, in the picture with the trophy. They didn't give everybody a trophy when I played ball. These are all-star trophies, which meant you was the best guy on the team, and you went to the all-star game. These guys, if they strike out or they fly out, and it's the end of the inning, or they strike out.
Coming off the bat. If he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good?
Well, they just drop the bat and take off their helmet and drop it on the ground, and their little gloves and all that stuff, and pile it up in a pile. Walk that stuff back over to the dugout. You're making $1 gazillion. I did some research on bat boys. The bat boy at a game for a team gets paid between $9 and $10 an hour. He's not making $6,000 a game. Get out of here with that, man. And he only gets to work at 81 home games. And he works odd hours. They're either afternoon games, or nighttime games, weekend games, things like that. But $9 or $10 an hour to pick up the equipment that a guy making $5 or $10 million a year drops on the ground. Take that equipment back over the dugout with your lazy ass, man. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I was out of my mind. I was standing in the living room screaming at the TV, and the hair and the beards. Now you're too young to remember, but I remember when George Steinbrenner owned the New York Yankees and wouldn't allow them to have any facial hair at all. Clean shaven, short hair, short haircuts, clean shaven, all American. New York Yankees playing ball. You're setting an example for young people. And now you got these guys with hair down to their shoulders, or you got dreadlocks sticking out from underneath their hats. They got beards. They look like they play Santa Claus in the off season. and they got a Mr. T starter kit on, if you can see it from the beard, underneath the beard. Take all. Nobody cares about the gold. That stuff's way old. It's old. It's way old. I remember when there was a rule that the pitcher couldn't wear a necklace because it was distracting to the batter.
Well, I mean that
when he's watching the ball coming.
I was going to say you're getting you're getting into Puritan levels of baseball, man.
Nitpicking, and I was out of my mind last night.
But they also hold on a second, Jethro. Like they also used to not average fucking like 90 miles an hour and above every pitch. They used to not have certain ethnicities in this game either. Like so many things are changing, and you have literally, I mean, it's the best of the best no matter what, and it's something where back in your day you were an all-star, but you were also in a closed environment, right? Like you didn't have people who were coming out like literally 4 states away to come in and play this and yada yada. And like, yeah, I understand your cute little trophy that's about 6 inches tall. What was earned? No one's saying that it wasn't. And yes, and yes, participation trophies, making people feel special, that doesn't help, right? So one of the things that you got to look at there. I mean, you can't get frustrated at what's happening now, but it's not that you have like the authority to say, well, back in my day, I was an all-star. Like, it's one of those, put the, what do you call it?
We didn't play with a rock and a stick either.
No, it
was actually had a ball.
No, it was a broom handle and bottle caps. Like, I understand how this game works. But yeah, like, and it makes sense. And there's definitely different levels, right, of play, and there's different levels of competitiveness and whatnot. But now people want to get people into, like, kids into sports, because if not, then they're friggin' playing Call of Duty all day long. And then, not that that's a bad thing, but
yes,
I don't necessarily think so. But it means they're not getting a whole lot of social engagement, right? They don't get any physical movement other than throwing a controller when they're pissed off and then jerking off after they've won. They don't get any of that social engagement other than like, yeah, fucked your mom. And it's like, yeah, because I'm your dad. Like, we're playing on the same fucking team, you little asshole, right? Like, these sorts of things. And talking to 12-year-olds who have mods on where they can't miss and they go ham. It's something where sometimes parents do it because their kids are bored. Sometimes they want them to be more socially engaged, more active. Something that I think is said way, way too much nowadays is everyone and their brother / sister / attack helicopter is diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, whatever your poison is. And it's a scenario where I understand that's definitely a real thing. That is 100% a thing. However, I think also too that we've altered the way education occurs, right? Because we would rather teach not boy curriculum, because boys want to do they want to be wild. I mean, they have not every boy, obviously, and not every girl. That's not all the same. But you have things where it's just like, okay, just remain calm, be calm, don't be stressed, and don't be stressful to everybody else. Where a lot of kids, a lot of little tiny Tinker Toy soldiers, right? They want to go nuts. They want to be pirates, or they want to be knights, or they want to be Power Rangers. As dating myself, right? Where it's like, yeah, no, that was the thing to do, and we went nuts, and we were laughing and having a good time. And it's a scenario where that's not conducive to a regular kind of like environment, but.
Because we were trying to keep you from jumping off the roof of the garage,
right.
Thinking you were Superman or something.
Well, but it's a scenario where that would have been a very valuable lesson.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, it would have been. Yeah.
But to that end,
these are some things that I just thought were just, I just.
Oh, well, you think a lot of things, Mr. Talking to everybody around the world.
My has it. how it's changed baseball over a long period of time. How it's changed. And I remember, how many years did I umpire? 3 or 4 years, something like that.
I don't know. You weren't around when you were umpiring. You were at the ball field, so.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I was a bad dad. Okay.
That sounds like your insecurities are coming out, because I didn't say that.
I remember getting hit by an 88 mile an hour fastball, and when I was umpiring, and that hurt, by a high schooler.
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind, man.
It was funny because when we, at the ballpark, the motorcycle police of the local police department would pull up behind the backstop, and they had their radar gun mounted on their handlebars, because they were traffic cops out there to catch speeders, and they'd pull up back there, and they would tell us how fast somebody was throwing the ball.
Nice,
because they could sit there back there and catch it on their radar gun. And I was like, what? Yeah. Some of those kids in high school were humming.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have no doubt. Well, something too, like, there definitely is, I think, a different talent pool, right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, look at overall health, wellness, nutrition, things of that sort that have changed over time as well, where you can have a teenager throw an 88 mile an hour fastball, like, for real, and it's not out of the norm, where you have certain people in the majors who couldn't do that so many years ago because they just physically couldn't do it, right? Like they didn't have the gumption for it. But yeah, I mean, not only baseball, but so many things are changing to where people can plan those paths a couple decades in advance, and you will have such an edge over other people who are just kind of, I don't want to say people play baseball to have a good time, because, come on, that's bullshit. Like, give me a break. But, they're out there as an extracurricular activity, or their parents are putting them in there, and they're like, yeah, cool. Like, some of my friends play or whatever. But, it's like, you have some folks who are just miles ahead, whether or not be physically, mentally, or just prepped by their parents or other coaches who they might have gone to and seen outside of the school or whatever. But yeah, man, like, it's definitely changed for sure. So
yeah, well, it just was kind of, I'm sitting there in the living room with my ball glove on and my ball in my hand, and it's like, oh man, this game is nothing like it used to be. They're even going to stop. How the defense out in the field would shift to one side, like when a left-hander came up. The shortstop comes on the other side of second base. They're even going to prevent them from doing that in the near future. They're working on where there's no shifts. You just got to play everybody straight up. And I was like, holy smoke, man, golly, I don't, man. Of course, I mean, I think you ought to play them straight up, but to prevent them from shifts and then giving this pitcher 15 seconds in between each pitch or something, I don't get the hurry and the
because we got some sinning to do. Okay, like pastime is over.
Don't go. If you got somewhere to be, don't go, man, because you ain't paying attention anyway.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't have anywhere to be, and you watched 4 fucking innings, so I don't want to hear that shit. Like, you ain't got anywhere you had to be.
I know, and it was boring because nobody scored. I mean, it was nobody made it past second base,
right? Like that's the whole point, right? If they can make themselves good enough, the game, like, essentially, what is the game? It doesn't matter in the slightest, because if you can have somebody who never gets past second base, perfect. They're performing their task perfectly. But is it boring as fuck? Well, of course it is, right? Because
the Braves won 4-1. So
well, then obviously somebody wasn't doing their job right, because somebody got past second base. But if you look at it, I mean, like, when's the last time you saw a game other than something that was just a literal blowout was in like double digits against double digits, right? Like, it's normally, no, we just fucking crushed these people and we moved on, versus it's a 3 or 4 point game. Like, it feels almost like fucking hockey, right? Where those games you might only have 1 point scored, or like soccer even. But that's only 90 minutes because no one wants to fucking run that long. And speaking of that, I'm going to the Geodis Stadium this Sunday. So shout out to my cousin who's letting me use one of his tickets to head out there. I want to.
Man, that would be so cool because soccer players. Oh man, all that running and stuff.
They're gonna hate me because all I'm gonna do is say ole 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 ole, and then they're gonna be like, please get this person out of here.
Everybody down here is soccer crazy down here. They play. I mean, if they can get a pickup game on the corner, they've got a ball.
Sure.
Going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Hey, it was. I recently went to something that talked about refugees' stories, right, and then them coming to America and whatnot. And one of them was wild because they would get like, trash bags or just plastic bags and ball them up, and then over and over and over and over. And then finally you had a ball. And then boom, they start kicking that around. Like they would go just say, cool, we have a ball now. Because that's why soccer, like one of the reasons soccer is so friggin' popular is because you just need a ball and people with feet, right? Like you don't even need hands. So
yeah, they play when we go down to the beach sometimes on Sunday afternoons. We'll see them. There's just a pickup game. There'll be 6 or 8 guys out there kicking the ball up and down the beach. Of course, obviously there's no goals or anything like that, but they're just running around kicking the ball, and it's like, man, this is just too cool.
Yeah, like the footwork and stuff. I mean, I would just be bloop, just on my face, just instantaneously.
Yeah,
so.
I can jump about this high off the ground, so you know what I mean. So.
Well, I mean, it's called soccer. You're not doing the hurdles, so.
Yeah, little boys and little girls, but you don't see many girls playing soccer though. It's mostly just the boys. But,
well, that would be a unique rabbit hole to go down and see why they are.
I never thought about that. I need to look into that because I never really thought about it.
Let us know down below in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe. Why don't we see more girls playing soccer than boys? Now, I of course very much believe that is in Ecuador specifically because America is everything's to be even. So.
Oh yeah, not down here though. Not down here. But you know what? You got 118 days till election day. Vote them out. Vote those people out of office in America. Vote them out. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, well, you've heard the latest lie, right?
Which one's that?
This is about the 10-year-old girl that was assaulted in Ohio.
What is the lie?
It's all a lie. It was all made up. And for everyone to have jumped on the lie so quickly, it's like Bongino says, give something 72 hours to play out and see if it's still the same as it was 72 hours ago. They said this 10-year-old girl was sexually assaulted in Ohio. Now, they don't give you a city or a county, or they don't give you any information on the child. A doctor in Ohio called a doctor in Indiana because Ohio, abortion is illegal after 6 weeks. Well, the little girl was 6 weeks and 3 days. I don't know. How do you know that? How do you know that there's 6 weeks and 3 days? I don't know, and I'm not going to get into that with somebody. But the girl, the doctor in Ohio, who did not report this to DHS, Department of Human Services, did not report it to the law enforcement, which she is required by law to do anytime there's a sexual assault. Call Dr. Caitlin Bernard, who's a abortion fanatic in Indiana and doesn't mind having her picture on the front page or her name out there, and said, "Can you help me?" And the doctor in Indiana said, "Yeah, sure, come on, I'll help you." And everyone jumped on this immediately because the doctor in Indiana, Dr. Caitlin Bernard, leaked this story with no evidence, no backup, no nothing. Okay, she is required by law to report any type of assault or anyone that she treats to law enforcement or Department of Human Services. She made no reports whatsoever, which is against the law. But CNN jumped in there and said, this 10-year-old girl should not have to carry her brother or her father's child. How do they know who it was? They never said who assaulted her, because it was all a lie and it was all made up. The Ohio Attorney General has no knowledge or no records anywhere of any reports made, and it was news to him when someone asked him the question. He had no idea what they were talking about. And nobody reported anything. And then stupid, slow Joe Biden jumps on the lie train along with Swallow-Me Harris and go on national TV and talk about this. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that little girl? Now, this is horrendous. Any way you slice it, it's horrendous. It's unconscionable. It's unspeakable. If it really happened. There's no evidence that it ever really happened. But Joe Biden and Swallow-Me Harris are on there going, a little girl, a 10-year-old little girl. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And all the shit was made up.
How do you know it was made up?
Because there's no evidence that it ever happened.
Are you an investigator / law enforcement in that area?
I'm pretty damn close.
Yeah, it sounds like
I've reached out to sources in Ohio. And
right. My thing there is how do you know? I mean,
there's no evidence. They just made it up. Who did it? When did they do it? How did it happen? Why didn't the law? Why? So there's a monster in Ohio assaulting 10-year-old girls, and they're still on the loose. That's what you're telling me?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, they didn't report it. Nobody's been arrested. There's been no charges brought because it was all made up. It was all made up by the Indiana doctor to get her face on the front page and get her
speaking of pregnancy tests and how do they determine how far along someone is, there's ultrasounds that can help date. There are pregnancy tests that have weeks on it. There are cycles in which, of course, women have, and of course our lovely subscribers out there who are ladies who are wonderful. You know how it is. You obviously something's happening with your bodies monthly, for most likely, barring any sort of anomalies. Like with certain life events. But yeah, I mean, there are several ways to tell whether or not. Or not whether or not, but how far along that is, just in terms of timetables and, just evidence that that's happening. But when you say
who did the testing? Who did the testing to find out how long she was?
Well, that's a very good question. I have no idea.
And you didn't report it. You didn't report it. Hey, I've got a 10-year-old here that's pregnant. How did this happen? You don't have to report it. Just ask the question. How did this happen at 10 years old? Because it didn't. It didn't happen. They're all liars. They're all liars. Vote them out. Vote all of them out.
So an arrest was made. Arrest was made in the rape of an Ohio girl that led to an Indiana abortion and an international attention.
Yeah,
they just made an arrest. What's Duder's name?
9.1% inflation.
Gershon Fuentes. He's 27. Okay. Last known address is in Columbus somewhere, and he was arrested today. So,
well, it's funny they didn't know anything about it at noon today. Nobody knew anything about it when I was researching it.
Well, he was charged with felony first degree and is held in a Franklin County jail on a $2 million bond.
That's all a lie. They made that shit up.
Okay, and the child's mother reported the girl's pregnancy to the Franklin County Children's Services on June 22nd, which then they informed the police.
Yeah, okay. Okay, on June 22nd?
Mm-hmm. That's when the girl's mother reported that to Franklin County Children's Services.
Yeah, they're backpedaling real fast. They are backpedaling real fast because the Ohio Attorney General had no knowledge whatsoever about any of this. And neither did Indiana.
Yeah,
And law enforcement in Indiana had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shit deal. Like, I would be more mad at not the lie, but I mean, some little girl had her innocence stolen. What? Like, that's fucking terrible.
Well, yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. So the numbers came out today in June. Inflation was 9.1%. That's at a 40-year high. 40-year. And it's not going down anytime soon, according to all the money gurus.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like we would be going backwards sliding back down very quickly, you know.
In May, it was 8.6. So it's gone up 0.5% in like a month. And when the numbers came out today, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, they tell you the price of gas is coming down.
It is. I saw, actually, it was under $4. I mean, now, granted, remember, under $4. Under $4 means, listen, asshole, we don't all ride electric fucking scooters. Under $4 is what? $3.99. So you see the 3, but it's still technically, like, it's still pretty much $4.
$3.99.9.
Yeah, exactly. But psychologically, that's going to make you think it's under $4, and it's like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah, Joe's over in Saudi Arabia right now, kissing the ring and kissing the ass of the prince, the crown prince over there right now.
The one that Fluffy went and visited, and they thought they were going to keep him.
Yeah, that has the falcons. Yeah. And the next time Joe gets off that jet and doesn't salute the guys that are at the bottom of the stairs, I trip him. He's supposed to salute the 2 military attachés that are on either side of the bottom of the steps there, because they're saluting him, because he's supposed to be
he's commander-in-chief, yeah.
Yeah, he's not the commander of anything. He's a weak bitch. And don't forget, and if anybody's counting, today is today's 334 of the Afghan withdrawal.
Oh, wow, really?
We're almost on a year from when we left $80 billion worth of weapons and ammo and equipment for the Taliban in Afghanistan. Yeah, that withdrawal, and all the Americans. And kudos to the Americans and their families that passed away in that conflict. Yeah, that's crazy. The 13 Americans that died. And then Joe fucked up that pullout, you know. Wow. What a clown. What a freaking clown, man.
Why do you think the president is, quote unquote, responsible for so many things?
Because he's not cognizant of what's going on around him. He doesn't live in the real world. You saw the article I sent you about him shipping our oil reserves to China, didn't he? And India. We're not drilling here, but you're shipping our oil reserves that we have in case of a hurricane or in case of an emergency or something like that. We've got oil reserves to put in place in case of an emergency. And he pulls like 5 million barrels out and sends it to China and India, who are 2 of the largest producing crude oil producers in the world.
Well, did it say why he did that?
He had the power to stop it. Well, he's in bed with China. You know, him and Hunter making millions off of China. He's going soft on China. And that 100-year marathon, they're getting more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. Did you see where in China that they've locked up everybody's money and they won't give you access to your own money?
I haven't seen that. No, I do know, or I have seen that there have been more COVID cases over there, which you would have thought that they, like, for them, it just seems like it hasn't stopped. At all. It just happened. There's also 1.5 billion people over there for that to spread through. So I mean, it's going to take a minute.
The government has shut the banks down where people can't even get to their own money. Now you've been working hard and putting money in the bank, and now you don't have access to your own money. Because I've talked to some people.
Well, we've seen that before, right?
That are in Shanghai. And people that are in Hong Kong, and these people, they're out of their minds right now because they can't access their money at the bank. And YouTube and Google or Twitter not YouTube, but Google and Twitter have control over everything everybody says. And WeChat, you ever heard of WeChat?
It sounds oddly familiar, yes.
Yeah, controlled by China.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, that's that. I talked to a guy today, actually, that was in Beijing. And he said that WeChat is controlled and they control everything that everybody says. And then I went on and started researching the bank deal where they're keeping everybody's money. You can't get to your money in the banks. And so they've started storming the government buildings and stuff. They're having a war with the police over there, civil war with the police over there.
Well, I mean, could you imagine? I would say in China they've been going at their government for a hot minute. So,
they have, and the government's controlled. And if the United States doesn't watch out, that's what's going to happen to us because they're trying to control everything. The Democrats or the government's just trying to control everything. And then you got Marsha Blackburn, your senator, and the other guy. I didn't forget on any of them's names, but they're all they're all lip service, blah blah blah. Well, this happened, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. They're not doing anything about it. They're not doing anything about any of it. Oh, the Republicans are going to wipe them out in the midterm elections in November. Well, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing but just talk more lip service. They should impeach Joe Biden the minute that they get into sworn in.
Well, they might try, but also you got to remember too that they could try to impeach him. But remember, Trump got impeached, and it didn't matter because it didn't go past a certain point, right? So
you're right.
Okay, if they impeach him, then
twice.
What? Doesn't matter.
Twice.
Yeah. It's fine. Impeach him. Well, nothing happens. It's like
they're trying
movement. It goes a certain distance and it stops, right? Like that's why it's called a revolution, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like.
Well, they're trying to bring charges against Trump so he can't run in 2024. So, and I hope he doesn't. But I think you're going to see that moron clown show for a governor of California is going to try to run in 2024.
Gavin Newsom, is that who that is?
Yeah. And it's funny because he's dining with people with no mask on. And eating at a restaurant, and he's at the football game in the box with the celebrities with no mask on, but he's telling everybody else, you better wear a mask. Well, now he's vacationing in Montana.
There you go.
Yeah, and wait a minute, but you condemn Montana for being wide open and letting their kids go to school and people not wearing masks and not mandating a vaccine and stuff, but yet you're going to vacation there.
Well, is that like when Ted Cruz went to Cancun to visit his daughter when the power went out because of the ice storms in Texas?
Could be. I ain't a Cruz fan.
It doesn't matter if you are, but the whole point is that everyone's shitty. Like that's kind of the point.
Oh yeah. I'm not shitty. You're not shitty. I mean,
I was going to say, we'll refrain from continuing that conversation.
Wait a minute. Last Tuesday,
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of things that happened last week, I think it was late last week. I think the days are running together, but Shinzo Abe Shinzo, the former prime minister of Japan, was shot and killed after a speech, or on his way to a speech, before the new elections in Japan. And it was wild. I mean, a former prime minister just like shot right out in the street, man, just straight up. And it was by somebody, at least the person who they arrested is Tetsuya Yamagami. And supposedly, this person assassinated the former prime minister of Japan because of a grudge against a religious group that he had believed the leader had promoted. And it's something where I'm thinking to myself, dude, you are either going to die, like you're going to, just disappear and just be killed, or you're going to be put in a little black box forever. Because I'm telling you, they don't play over there, man. Like China, Japan, several places in Asia. No, you fuck up, you will be a not even a memory because of what they're going to do. And what was crazy about this, to me at least, is the very first thing that we heard other than it happened was please don't believe the picture of the tweet that this Abe individual, the former prime minister of Japan, sent at or to Hillary Clinton, like the Clintons in general. That's fake. It's not real. So 24 hours later, 48 hours later of him peacing out in the worst way, they were already doing damage control about, this isn't real. Because they were trying to kind of aim it, right, in terms of, hey, we're going to make this an international event and say, well, Abe went at the Clintons and then he got Clinton, essentially, right? Like, Jeffrey Epstein and whatnot. And it's like, that's something else. And I mean, and to assassinate a former prime minister of Japan just in broad daylight, like, it's not the person from the grassy knoll, from my understanding. It could be. Let us know down in the comments. But, bad deal. I mean, it's something else.
I looked into that, and you're right. It was in broad daylight. He was on a podium, and he was giving a speech. He was going to re-enter politics.
Right.
Okay. And one thing about the Secret Service is, the guys that I've talked to said we walk more backwards than we did front in our lives. Nobody had this guy's back. Nobody had his six. They were all standing there nonchalantly, whatever they were doing, looking forward and watching. And the guy walked right up behind him and gave him two in the back. Point blank range, man.
Sure.
Now they got the guy. Absolutely.
Yeah, they got him.
But the guy got 2 steps away and was surrounded,
Right.
Yeah. But still, it should have never happened.
Well, what's kind of wild is, well, that's fair. One of the things that's kind of wild is the Tetsuya, hit supposedly, from what, of course, you read online, could be hearsay, but supposedly Tetsuya, the assassin in this case, not Antonio Banderas, but this Tetsuya Yamagami, his mother was in the religious group that Abe was promoting. So it was actually, it's a wild deal, like straight up. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting when Slow Joe goes to Saudi, which he's there now, to talk to the guy. Do you remember when the journalist was killed over there in Saudi Arabia?
You mean the one that was like cut up? I mean, like,
well, I don't know if he was cut up, but I know that the guy that Joe's supposed to meet with is the guy that he accused of killing the journalist.
Oh,
so that's gonna be a real interesting conversation.
Yeah, that'd be kind of wild.
The president of Mexico was in the Oval Office day before yesterday.
Hey, okay, cool.
And Joe's got to read his script and read his notes and say what is on the script.
Hey, we have notes, almost a script, so
Well, they told him to talk about fentanyl, and he said, "So we've got a large drug task force that we've been operating on the border since April." Okay, well, that fact checkers deemed that to be a lie. The second thing is he told the Mexican president, "You're going to have to help us with the fentanyl problem because we've got so much coming across the border, and we need to do something about it." And and then the camera, sweeps over to the Mexican president. He just goes, whatever. He never addressed it. He never addressed it, and Joe didn't push it.
Sure. Well, why would he?
It's like, no, the cartels would kill him and have him, for breakfast or something. But I thought it was interesting, speaking of the border, Texas and Arizona are declaring the southern border migrant crisis an invasion.
Okay. Well, if they label it as an invasion, then they get to step up their protocols, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? Yes,
they do. According to the Constitution, states have the power to start to enforce. Well, it gives them more control. Well, if the federal government says, no, you're not going to do that, and the state government says, yes, we are, you're not going to get anything done at the border because the federal guys are going to be arresting the state guys.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a big cluster, and you're not going to get anything done. So they're probably not going to consider it. They'll consider an invasion verbally, but they're not going to, put out articles or documentation and stuff.
It's all
lip service.
Just like you said. I mean, it's all lip service because we can say, "Oh, they're doing X, Y, and Z to our country and our Constitution and our this and our that," and you can be mad about it, but nothing ever happens. However, people are understanding that you can get a win and not have done anything. Because look at this, and we've talked about this before 100%, but look at the last time you told somebody one of your plans. Okay. It feels really good to tell them of that plan, but you get the psychological satisfaction without the physical one to a degree. If you just tell someone the plan because you already got the win, if they're supportive.
I feel good about it. Yes,
right. So the same thing occurs when they say, like, this is bullshit and like this is an invasion and we're going to Congress and yada yada. You rile up a base, you rile up a bunch of people, they're on your side. Then you go to the hurdle, right? And then it's like, well, we want to do this, but no one would let us. And then they think, oh, well, at least you tried, right? Like, and that sticks with people.
I wanted to lose weight, but I couldn't stop eating.
Exactly. And so to that end, it's something where it's all lip service. They're not there to do anything other than maintain their position and make money. So
Vote them out. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of wild, but like it's been that way for a minute, and especially we've talked about this before too, where good old Cocaine Mitch is up there letting everyone spend as much money as they want to on campaigns and all of this, and so it makes super PACs real, and it makes money be in politics and lobbyists have more control over more than you could imagine, right? And so it just becomes a thing of stay elected, don't ruffle too many feathers, and just keep making them muns. Because look at any politician right now. Let us know in the comments below. Is there a poor senator or House of Representative person?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Vote them out. But
to that end, we've just about hit our hour mark, a little bit under. Is there anything else you would like to talk about there other than balls and strikes?
You got to have balls. Yeah. No, I'm good. Thank you for letting me rant about baseball. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I didn't let you do anything. You just did it. You just shut me up.
I feel better about it. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Well, there was.
I told you my plan.
Yeah, no, all right. Yeah, it's like just sit down and shut up and let me go. Spin you like a little top, right? Just bzzz. It reminds me of the Richard Pryor thing. Well. It's like, well, you make me feel good as a person, right? And it's like, you made me say, well, the shit wasn't that bad, right? Like that whole kind of deal there. But yeah, so good stuff. Let us know what you thought down below in the comments. A lot of stuff's happening around the world. Things are going on all the time, and never a dull moment. That's for sure. And don't be fooled by under $4 when it's $3.99.99, right? So just you be careful out there. And thank you also very much for watching the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jay. I believe this is episode 60, I think. So coming at you, going strong into season 2, and we will catch you all in the next episode.
See you.